Hello, everybody. Joey J. Ping here from Respect My Region. Hello, hello, hello. We are back. Better Budtenders podcast, episode 5. We have a very special guest today, Zack Crowell from Kushmart South dispensary in South Everett, Washington State, up in the Pacific Northwest, man, a couple thousand miles north of me down here in LA. Zack, how you doing? How you living? What you smoking on today, my friend?
Fantastic, my man. Just got off work, so nice long day, ready to just chill. Have not smoked at all, so I'm very excited to dive into a little apple sundae from Taurus. Brand new drop from them. We just picked up last week. Love the hydroponic grow. They do some really, really cool deep water culture, and honestly, the bud is just speaks for itself. Absolutely.
Wow. So my man chose dessert first before dinner. He got off work. Absolutely. He's like, I need an apple sundae. Talk to me a little bit. Let's just start off with the weed, because most people aren't just ready right off the bat on these Better Budtender interviews. Sure. It's fire. Why do you like it? What's the smell? What's it look like?
Yeah, for sure. So apple sundae for me is it's a nice cross. You got apple juice and a little sundae driver. So you have a citrus profile with a little bit of some stoniness coming out the end. You crack the jar open, it's immediately gas, just hits the nostrils, kind of curls you up real nice. My favorite thing about these buds is honestly the fact that they came up with this really new proprietary system where they seal the top off and they have this little plunger system so you can pop it up and then reseal the bud so you're pulling all the oxygen out. No deprivation to the bud, no degradation to the THC or anything. Absolutely frosted nugs, just beautiful, bursting with THC trichomes on the tips.
Wow, that is super unique. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. I'm just honestly, the grind up is my favorite. You think it's just these dense rocks and then they just fluff out. The stick is there. I've been nothing but impressed. And then obviously got to rip it out of a bong, get that whole terp profile for sure.
You're a bong guy, huh?
I'm a bong guy. Yep. I definitely go to the bong first.
My man smokes out the motherfucking bong. Okay, well, that's one of the questions I was going to ask you today is what's your preferred smoking method? So you're a bong guy. Can you hold us one of the nugs before you dive in?
Yeah, for sure. So one of the big guys.
I'm trying to see what that weed is looking like up in Washington State. I know that all of our California and the rest of the country, I know they're always looking to see what the weed looks like in the various states.
I don't know if that light kind of helps out or makes it harder to see.
That's okay. It's okay.
Very, very bright bud. Absolutely just covered in crystallization. Sticky, icky to the fingers. Got a nice perp in there, and then the orange hairs kind of come through. But just beautiful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're gonna change the camera angle right there, so that way you can get a little bit more angle there. Perfect. All right. So yeah, for me, I'm actually going to smoke on 2 strains. I'm going to mix some San Fernando Valley OG grown in downtown LA indoors, and I'm going to mix it with some papaya punch. Looks like it was grown indoor by a farm called Neptune Valley. So shout out to Rove, shout out to the Cure Company, shout out to, what's the brand called that you're smoking today?
Taurus.
Big shout out to Taurus for getting us high, getting us creative. Everybody, this is episode 5. I've been out. I just got back from Spain, so I apologize for being a little inconsistent, but we're back. We're going to talk about what it's like being a store manager as a dispensary, right? You've been doing this for how long? You've been the manager for how long here, Zack?
3 years. 3 years in the industry now. Yep. Started out as manager, and I've been running the store manager for the last year.
Okay, perfect. So you've sold a lot of weed, you've probably bought some weed, you've probably sold some weed, you've probably smoked a lot of weed, you've probably done some dabs, you've probably done some hot dabs. I'm just kidding.
A couple of my that's fair.
I just had to slip it in there. See if you
I think we all been there once or twice.
Hey, so let me ask this: are you a dabber?
I do like to dab, yeah. I'm more of a rosin guy myself. I do prefer that.
What's your preferred method of dabbing or style?
Ooh, I'm honestly, I like the bongs. I gotta have a nice rig. I prefer a nice cold start with some delicious rosin. Honestly, I'm about the flavor profile. The high is nice, and I love a nice stony high, but the flavor is what gets me, man. It's so interesting to see all these different profiles these strains are kind of producing, and the amount of overall variety. It just blows my mind, man. Seriously, like this stuff smells and tastes like apple pie.
Oh wow, yeah. I was just gonna ask, how's that weed smelling? Because mine over here, my papaya punch is sweet, sour, and then I've got straight lemon gas.
Ooh, see, that's nice. This is like very almost herbally, kind of got a nice sour apple, like a Granny Smith apple, that real sour kind of just nose curling. And then in the back, you kind of get a little bit of this like subtle cakiness to it. I think it's got to be that Sunday Driver cross. But honestly, the flavor, it pulls it, man. They do a great job.
Okay, so we're going to dive into these questions once I get this rolled up. Feel free to take a rip, get yourself prepared, loosen up. We were going to be diving in, logging on, tapping in. The goal of this podcast, for those that are watching, is to extract information from the most experienced bud tenders, the store managers, the buyers in the industry. Myself, I'm a former medically certified bud tender. I was there in Seattle. I was there in the thick of it in a tourist area with all the Seahawks games and the Sounders games and Beyonce concerts. It was crazy. Never knew who was going to show up back in the day. And so I want to make sure that we can share that culture and help other people experience. But also, too, we're going to be asking some questions tonight that should help people get an idea of how to get in the industry. Right. Awesome. We want to empower people. Right. I'm sure you hire people and you have to.
I literally just went through a hiring round about a week ago. So, yes, we are in the training process right now.
So that kind of information is so valuable to people to help them get an idea of what they need to do to prepare themselves to get involved. So, Zach, I really appreciate you being here today. I'm about 3 seconds, I'll say 30 seconds away from having this rolled up. So give me a second.
Oh, dude, you're all good. I got to grab a lighter.
Here we go. You guys, like, follow, subscribe. If you have any questions, again, this is Zack Crowell. He is a dispensary manager in North Seattle area, specifically in South Everett, Washington. It's
stop by Kushmart South, guys.
In that area, there is a lot of homeless in that area. It was one of the first cities, if not the first city in the country, to go bankrupt due to the opioid epidemic. So cannabis has been very vital to helping reshape and restore the community. So
absolutely.
Zach, without further ado, let's take a rip.
Cheers to you, my man. Cheers to you.
I'm gonna rip this live resin pen while I roll this.
I love it.
Woo! That was a rip for me. All right. I'm gonna be in that state of mind. You know what I'm saying? Here we
gotta get right.
Gotta get right. Stay ready so you don't gotta get ready.
Absolutely.
All right. Here we go. Joints almost ready.
Let's get it.
Zach, you've been in the industry 3 years.
Yes, sir.
How long you been smoking
Absolutely
weed?
Loved every minute of it.
How long you been smoking weed?
Geez. Probably I think the first time I smoked I was 15. So it's
wow. Okay.
I think I'm just a decade smoking. So what was that?
Was it a strain or was it just some weed?
Honestly, I have no idea. Rolled up in a joint, first time smoking, had no idea what the heck I was getting into. Absolutely got knocked out by the munchies and the giggles that you just can't stop. You get that laughing fit and you're just stomach's hurting and cramping, your face is hurting, you're smiling the whole time, ear to ear, your cheeks are sore. It's like, yeah, that was an experience, and that changed the direction of where I was going for a little bit there.
That's so funny. I mean, we've all been there. None of us get that kind of high anymore, but we've all been there.
We all chase it, my man. We all chase it.
Gosh, man. There's edibles sometimes get me there, and I definitely mix. I talk some shit. I'm a shit talker. So when I smoke sativas with some gas, with some gelatos or something, like I mix a haze or something like that, then I'll have that energetic, that wiggle, you know what I mean? That goofy
it's like
wiggle.
Almost like a shake. Yeah, no, I feel it.
Yeah, it just makes you want to. It makes people want to dance. It makes people want to work out. To me, it makes me want to wiggle, cross you over, talk some shit, and dunk on you. I don't know why. It just is how it goes.
Served right.
Okay, with that said, let me rip this. Here we go.
Love it.
First official question of the evening, everybody. Let's rock it. All right. So I always go right off the bat. We're coming at the neck right now. I need to hear your thoughts on THC percentage. We know the customers come in and ask for high THC
Yep.
Please break that down for me, and I want to hear your opinion on it. You can rant if you want to. You can gloss over it if you need to.
Fair. So for me, obviously the numbers, it doesn't correlate to anything. Obviously back in the day when we were smoking weed, we didn't know what the hell the number was. We smoked whatever it was and we got stoned. Honestly, I think half the time it's very subconscious and you have that number in your head and you think it has to be 30% to get high, has to be 30%. I've smoked some of the best weed in the world that was 13% and got me absolutely messed up. The whole problem with it in Washington State, unfortunately, is when the testing happens, I get to pick what nugs are going in to be tested to start it off. So I'm going to pick the best of the best, the top nug that's got all that light, just beautiful looking. I'm going to grab that one and send it in. Now that nug's going to represent my entire room for my grow. Well, not every bud is going to have the exact same percentage. It's not going to have the exact same light exposure. There's going to be variability in the bud. So for me, that's my first breakdown with customers. It's about the education. You have someone coming in chasing numbers. The first thing I do is I grab them something that's 15% that I know is going to knock them out because of personal experience. That's kind of what I do. I like to break that down for people. That's honestly the biggest thing. It's just educating people, realizing that the number doesn't mean much. It's a testing off of one nug that's representing an entire lot. It could go both ways. So my biggest thing is just getting people to open up their minds to it. Try something, experience it. Don't worry about the number. See how it hits you. See how it hits your body. It's absolutely about your body chemistry. It's going to dictate what that high does for you. Some stuff that gets me is not going to get you. You just got to know what works for you. Ignore the numbers. That's my biggest tip of advice for consumers of cannabis.
Now, what about people who come in and they are dead set on correlating X experience with Y THC percentage? Because when I was a bud tender, it was always I don't get high off of anything. Well, back when I was doing it, I don't get high on anything less than 21 or 22%. Now it's I don't get high on anything less than 28, right?
Okay. Right.
So for you, when a customer comes in, how do you combat that? Because you're a store manager, you're training other budtenders, you're recruiting people in. How do you teach people to combat that or respond to that? Maybe obviously combat is not the right word, but
yep, no, exactly. Honestly,
how do you get someone to spin away and properly guide someone who is dead set on like, yo, I'm not going to get high on that. I need you to give me something else.
Fair. Honestly, one, you got to teach people to bring in the experience. Personal use is huge. Trying it out yourself is awesome. And knowing what you're talking about, that's key. Being able to describe to someone, this is going to get you messed up. When they're looking at that 30% number, I like to do two things. And I teach all my budtenders to do this. Grab 3 products for them. Grab them something that is a $20 eighth that's boasting at 34%. Show them that. And then compare that to a nice $60, $50 eighth of some very top shelf, high quality bud. Break down the structure of the bud. How does it look like? How is it grown? What was gone into it, the methods that they grew it, really just kind of breaking down the processes and trying to describe to the customer, hey, there are other things to look at besides just the number. That's kind of the biggest thing. You grab a Fat Panda 32% eighth and show them that. And some of the times they're going to grab it and maybe they have to have that experience to realize that isn't going to get them as high as they like. But honestly, it's, we are here to take care of the customer. And when they're looking for something like that, we're going to help them find everything they can at the end of the day. But a little bit of knowledge here and there, trying to guide them in the right direction, trying to show them what bud looks like. It's not just about the number. You got to look at the trichome structure. Is it frosted? Is the bud looking good? Was it cured long enough? What's the harvest date on it? There are other things to kind of keep in mind as well. And it's just trying to direct that attention towards something else rather than focusing on the THC.
Absolutely. And I think that's huge. And I think that's something that, that's some good wisdom and perspective for people to consider. One, the customer is always right. Don't force their way and force your way into their day. Guide them and redirect them appropriately, right?
Correct.
Provide them a pleasant, positive service first, right? And if they ask, or if you can somehow work something in a friendly way, then maybe you catch a fish, right?
Exactly.
So now my next question for you here, Zach, is based on some of the more popular products and also brands in your state, right?
Yeah.
In our world of media, listicles are super popular. The best rappers from this city, the best DJs of the year, the best festivals. Oh my gosh, you got to go to before you die, right? All this crazy shit. So when you think about the last 3 years of the weed that you've smoked, the dabs that you've dabbed, the edibles you've, choked down because they're not all good.
Absolutely.
What are some of the most popular products that come to mind immediately when I say best in Washington State?
Yeah, absolutely. So right off the bat, when I think of flower, I'm thinking of probably 3 brands in general: Scored, Lifted, and the Cookies. Cookies coming into Washington State, they have hype. They have a massive following. So the second they were able to hit Washington, there is a massive crowd that was just excited to get that product and have access to it without having to go down to you in Cali and be able to smoke those strains. The lineage is there. The history is there. They have a backing. They have a literal cult following. So that was just one, just because of that. Lifted, I would say, has been pioneering cannabis in Washington State since day one. They have dropped some of the most exclusive strains. They really did one of the best wedding cakes that I've ever smoked personally. And they come out with exclusivity. They have this thing that they do called the small batch drop. Very, very select stores are getting it. Very small amounts of product, but absolutely take it to the next level. The stickiness is there. They cure it so crazy. It just, the bud speaks for itself. So them for sure. And then Scored, they kind of really kind of take it home for me. Small batch group. They're down in, it's I think it's called Blackwater, Washington, right? Kind of the tip of Oregon and Washington. And they're growing some of the most awesome genetics that I have seen. They're working with some stuff with like frozen papaya and white nightmare right now. And just their genetics are out of this world. They put quality into all their products. Every time I've smoked their stuff, it's not only gotten better and better. I have not had a bad experience. And when a company can keep the consistency, that's what holds it for me. You got to come in every single time and be able to get something good. They can't alter in that. They can't falter around. They got to be holding strong. So that's some flower that just dominates. Obviously for the wax world, Refine probably takes the cake for me. They've just kind of created a craft, and they partner with some of the best growers in Washington. So they're getting very, very high craft cannabis and then processing that down into some of the best rosins and really high end distillates and live resins. Absolutely amazing. And then if I had to say edibles, I would say Raised Lemonade right now are destroying the entire game. They're like a 3-ounce shot, 100 milligrams of THC, and they get you messed up quickly.
The Raised Lemonades?
Yeah, they just dropped a new one called the Little Rays, and they have been going off. We probably sell over 100 a week. It's insane to watch them fly off the shelves. They're just very, very popular. You know, you don't have to choke down.
That high dose concentration in very little liquid is a very good price point for consumers to get an add-on kind of product to their basket. It's also a good dollar per milligram kind of situation for their, for the affordable consumer, right?
Yeah. Overall,
and then also too, it's a great party product for people that want to bring gifts or bring something to a little gathering. It's a lot of fun to take that to a little table at a restaurant and spike all your Sprites or all your mocktails and stuff.
Exactly. Like that. No, for sure, 100%.
All right. So some of the more popular flower brands and products, that's fire. Now, you've been working in the industry for 3 years. Do you have a favorite thing or aspect or something about working behind the counter? What is it about retail in cannabis that you particularly enjoy, and what drives you?
Well, honestly, I like the aspect of when you're shopping for cannabis, you need someone. It's not like going to the grocery store. You can go and shop for everything. You can go to the liquor store. You're pretty much finding what you're going to find. You're just walking around kind of by yourself looking for things. It's not really an experience. You're kind of doing your thing on your own. You're not really engaging with anyone. You're not learning anything. For cannabis, though, it is. You're almost forced to interact with someone. One, you can't just walk in there and buy something. You can't just grab something off the shelf and check yourself out at self-checkout. You have to speak with the bud tender. You have to grab some product from them. They're going to show it to you. It's an experience. You're learning something. You're engaging with someone. My favorite thing is being able to teach something, to someone new or learn something from someone. It's something that anyone can do. Anyone can smoke weed. So the amount of variable differences in people that come in honestly blows my mind. You get to meet some really cool people, and it's just the network, honestly, that cannabis brings. It's a fun world.
The stories that we hear in the world of cannabis from the customers in those brief 10 to 20 to 40 second interactions are very powerful.
Absolutely true.
All right. So we're going to continue on in the nitty gritty part of this. When it comes to the brands and how they educate the staff, what do they currently do? What do you feel is the general experience, the average experience when it comes to you're like, okay, a brand reaches out to you guys got all these brands on the menu. Kushmart's always had a ton of products. Right. So how do they train your bud tenders? What does that look like?
Yep. I mean, so an average experience, it's a vendor coming in, talking to the team, handing out samples so that, the whole crew can try it and just kind of getting some engagement around their product, a little bit of knowledge about the strains and whatnot. That's kind of an average experience. A lot of companies, though, take it to the next level. We're partnering with a company right now called Wild, and they literally have a guy come in who his job is to train and educate your bud tenders. So he just came in for an hour and talked with everyone on the staff, educated him or all of them about his products, about how they work with people, about how they're made. It just kind of gives them the full background. The second he left, every single person in the store could talk about his stuff just as good as he could. And then it comes down to the fact that when a bud tender can speak to the product, they have confidence behind it, they're going to sell it and they're going to sell the hell out of it. So it's like that next level of engagement coming in and really breaking down your product, why it is better, why it is what it is. That is what the difference is. It's entirely about just training and educating your bud tenders on what products you're trying to sell to them.
Hell yeah.
That's the next
I love that. That actually gives me a lot more hope because that sounds like a lot more than what they used to do.
Yeah, absolutely true.
It's like a major improvement, to be honest.
No, seriously. It's good to see. At least we're going in that direction.
Right. No, I mean, for sure. Like that doesn't even sound like incremental steps. That sounds like, 5 to 10 steps forward. Right. You know what I mean? So that's huge.
Nothing but improvement from here, man. That's the way I see it.
Now, in terms of the industry there in Washington, there's the good, there's bad, there's some stuff that should change, maybe it shouldn't change. Yeah. I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on maybe one good and one bad in terms of something that you like about the industry there, and then also something that you'd like to change.
Yep. So something that I would like to change, I'll just start with that. Honestly, it's the Federal Banking Act. That needs to get passed for cannabis. Cannabis needs to have the ability to use debit and credit cards rather than cash. I don't know if you've been hearing, but Washington State is targeted right now. We're getting blasted by people robbing dispensaries. They're hitting, multiple dispensaries a week. There's been probably 35 plus robberies just this year so far, and it's only cannabis. Reason behind it, we're a cash only business. Every single person that comes in is spending cash. They all have cash. We only deal with cash. It puts a giant target on your back. I would love to see the federal government step up. They're collecting our tax money. They're using this for roads, for schools, for amazing things. Why not one more step to make everyone safe? It doesn't seem like something that could hurt anything. I feel like there's nothing but money to be made from it from their side, and then safety and reassurance from our side. Absolutely something that could be changed immediately. What I like about the industry, I like the fact that we have not necessarily control of the day-to-day, but we really get to kind of, I don't know, we're still at the tip of this iceberg, and every day something new comes out. It's still so fresh. It's still something to learn. This industry is just getting started, and that's what I love. We have so much more to experience, and I'm just excited to be at the forefront of it.
There we go. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more to be 100% with you. We're new. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot of game to still soak up. Yeah. But we are again headed in the right direction, as we were just saying before this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
A quick one hitter question right here. Best weed you've ever smoked. First thing that comes to mind.
Best weed I have ever smoked. Jeez.
First thing that comes to mind.
Hands down, Chocolatina from Scored.
Oh, wow.
Tina crossed over with mint chocolate chip. It's heavy like an indica, but it gets you up and active like a nice get you going sativa. It's just got the best of both worlds, and the flavor, it's like a chocolate Nestle wafer bar. It's got like this earthiness to it with a little bit of bittersweet chocolate on the exhale. Absolutely one of my favorites. If you guys ever get an opportunity, please try it. You will
Chocolatina by Scored. I am familiar. I'm a little bit thrown off by the selection, but I'm not thrown off by Scored being named because
I think I lost you there for a second. I still can't hear you. I can read your lips. There we go.
Can you hear me all right?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You good? You see me?
Yep. We're good. I got you.
All right, perfect. All right, hold on. Well, let's take a pause here. Technical difficulties require weed.
Pause.
For those that are here with us on the podcast, we appreciate y'all for hanging out. You know what I'm saying? We're smoking some fire. He's got some apple sundae from a farm called Taurus, and I'm smoking on some papaya punch and some San Fernando Valley OG, and it is super duper stony. So big shout out to that. Let me bring this light up a little closer here. Oh, all right, there we go. Just to brighten me up. All right. So next question. Do Everett is a funny place. Washington is filled with all kinds of different people. Do you have a notably funny interaction that comes to mind?
Oh yeah, 100%.
All right, here we go.
Probably when this is like my third or fourth week on the job, just started out, out on the floor bud tending, just kind of learning the game. And this dude comes in with no pants on, no shirt on. He had a tarp wrapped around his body with I think a backpack full of stuff. He looked like a giant human turtle. And he came in and he asked for our cheapest joint. So I was like, yeah, no problem, man. Can I just get your ID real quick? No, doesn't have an ID. He lives on the streets, but he is spoken to many cars in the area. He was very explicit about this. And they told him that he could come and get any joint he wanted for free. He just needed to come in. And I spent about 15 minutes trying to convince this guy to give me his ID or ask him to leave if he couldn't produce it. It was unbelievable. I will never forget that day. That is just the fun of Everett, I feel like. But awesome.
Myself, bud tending in Seattle, I've many similar experiences in terms of things like that. Unfortunately, right?
Yeah.
Another example of how the community could benefit from cannabis in so many ways. But yeah, that's a solid one. I definitely enjoy that one. Looking like a turtle,
dude. It was exceptional.
You just never know what you're gonna get, man. That's for fucking sure. Let's see. I want to talk a little bit about what it takes for people to get in the industry. I think becoming a bud tender is life-changing. Getting into cannabis is life-changing. Having the opportunity to learn more about cannabis can be so powerful, so impactful if you are able to touch enough people and teach enough people, right?
Right. True.
What do you think it takes to be a bud tender?
Honestly, I break it down to some basics. You need to have customer service skills. And not only that, but you need to be personable. You need to be able to talk with people. You need to be a helper. You need to be someone who your goal is to make sure you're sending people away with something good. You want to make someone's day. Cannabis is something that, you sell them the wrong thing. You get them something that they're not looking for. It's going to ruin their day. You send someone away with a nice heavy indica and they're trying to get their day started and get working. And now you knocked them out and they're going to sleep, or vice versa. Someone trying to go to sleep and they have really bad insomnia and you sell them some sour diesel and now you just screwed them over. So it's like being sure that you are, a personal person. You're there to help people. I can teach you cannabis. I can teach you everything else that comes with it. It is really hard to teach someone to be just human and to be a nice person. So that honestly breaks it down to the basics. Good customer service, personability, and just work ethic. You're there to work. You're there to learn. We're going to meet you in the middle. We'll get you everything you need.
That's huge. I mean, customer service sucks in cannabis. People are not good at it.
Yeah.
They're pretty bad.
Yeah.
And I say this pretty frequently that I go places and I'm extremely disappointed, both in the level of education, just about cannabis overall, and then in their ability to be friendly, say hello, recommend something to me, not be lazy and slouching all over the place. It's just a lot of bad habits. Yep. And so I try to coach at least our clients on, providing, and our partners on a lot of, culture improvement for that kind of stuff. But there's got to be incentive for these people. It's not just a job. This is an opportunity, right?
Yep.
So, all right. So I got another hot take for you here. Another quick little question that I like to throw in here. You mentioned earlier the Chocolatina was your favorite strain.
Yeah.
Favorite product, the best weed you've ever smoked. So this question is a little bit similar, but it's more about the smell of weed. So
Okay.
When
Yeah.
people ask you to describe the smell of weed, I want you to name like 5 different words that you would use to describe quality weed, good weed, fire weed, whatever it is, right? So what is your terminology for?
Yeah. So typically I'm gonna notate the trichome buildup on the outside of the bud. So by calling it the frost is kind of how I shout it out. Is the bud look like a frosty white coating on it? Does it look like it's resiny and almost sticky? That's going to be all of that trichome. That's where all of your THC, all your cannabinoids, your terpene profiles, they're in the heads of those trichome tips. So if you don't see enough buildup of that, that can be a problem from the start. The next thing I like to point out is going to be it's the hairs. So when you cure cannabis, you're going to get an ambering color in your hair on the bud. So shouting out the hair color is huge because then you can tell them that the bud got a nice cure job. It was actually properly cured, not just thrown in a jar for a week and then shoved onto the shelf. You know, it had a couple weeks, a couple months, if possible. Most of the industry, they're not going to get to that level. They're trying to make a
Yeah,
profit.
they're definitely not doing 60-day cures anymore.
You already know it. You already know it. I mean, if we could get to that point, lovely. Next thing I'm shouting out, a lot of people like the big buds, the big nugs, very, very much a coveted thing in the industry. People are always hunting that down. And unfortunately, a lot of the time, the smaller jars don't get those big buds. You know, it's in the bigger stuff. So that's something that I like to shout out. If there is an eighth with a solid 3.5 gram nug in there, something to shout out for a good quality bud.
Love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah. And for me, the only one I add onto that is like, yo, this is that fresh new fire, you know, like I go in and ask for the freshest bud the freshest top shelf
This got dropped.
options.
Hell yeah.
Just to save me the opportunity of getting handed something that's older.
Right. Yeah. No one wants dry weed.
Yeah. Well, there are some people that prefer it, but you know, shout out the mid-grade booth. Okay. Okay. So this is another good one. This is actually a good one. This is like a remix of the strain just because I'm sitting here high. I'm gonna name a couple different strains. I want you to describe the smells of those strains just based on like what you would do. Right. Okay. So it's like not obviously there's no blind test. You don't have the weed in front of you, but like you've smoked enough of these strains, I'm sure that like you can probably do it. So for me, I want to start with I think it was last year's strain of the year, Dosido.
Ooh, Dosido, yeah. So Dosido for me is going to be cakey, funky. I call it a nose curl. It just kind of the second you crack the jar and you smell, it just kind of makes the nose puff up a little bit. It's just a nice funky gas in there. Anything that's gonna be, I think it just kind of has like an earthiness to it. It's just that pungent kind of old school bud. That's kind of how I would describe the Dosido.
I love that. Love that. I would have to agree. I'd have to agree. Now, what I believe the former strain of the year was Skittles ahead of that one.
Yeah, Skittles. Okay. Honestly, Skittles represents one thing I'm not really a fan of, and that's like a tangy profile, very much a citrus forward, but not lemon. It really goes to like a zesty orange. And then I'd say probably like a really dominant myrcene limonene profile. So like very much mango, lemons, oranges, just that dominant fruit profile that kind of hits for Skittle Mints for me.
Interesting. For me, traditionally, the Skittles ends up being the more that creamy gassiness, and depending on the cross, definitely they have the ability to I've seen a lot of citrus Skittles, fun crosses of that. California down here traditionally is big on just the actual exotic markets, and and citrus gives people a lot of the anxiety and paranoia with the high THC.
Very much a limonene thing, yeah, definitely.
Right. So I love smoking Skittles. We grew Skittles, and we actually just got some new ones recently, so that'll be exciting.
Okay.
And then my last one for you here. You said you liked cookies, right? Describe some classic cookies.
Let's do it.
So the cookie strain, Girl Scout cookies.
Old school Girl Scout. Oof, nice. Earthy, pungent, gassy, diesel, funk. Just honestly, just absolutely just
heavy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just get the nose going. You fucking don't even have to open the bag. You already smell it. Like pungent. Absolutely.
All right. I like it. Okay. So This is. Oh, you already asked you what's your favorite strain, and that was the Chocolatina. So we got to that question already been double take. Okay. So when it comes to edibles, that's somewhat of a tricky subject, right?
Yeah.
Edibles require people to eat them, to drink them, to suck on them, to drop them in, et cetera, et cetera. Capsules, swallow them. There's a lot of different forms of edibles.
Right.
So for you, what forms are you most experienced with? Let's start with that one.
Okay, so I'd say very equally experienced in like liquid edibles and solid edibles, not as much tinctures, capsules.
Okay. So when you when you have customers coming in, or when they're, people are coming in and they're more on the health and wellness slide, specifically in terms of sleep, what would you say are some of the best products, and how do you explain dosing to people when they are trying to do sleep?
So this is the biggest thing.
Help with sleep.
Right. So I'm the certified medical consultant at my shop. This is a huge area for me. I talk about this all the time, and it's an area that I like to educate people on. So CBN, cannabidiol, this is going to be the #1 sedative cannabinoid in all of cannabis. So finding tinctures that have a high dosage of CBN with a good amount of THC and a good amount of CBD in there, that's the target. So what I look for is there's 2 products that come to mind immediately. Fairwinds does a product called Deeper Sleep. And then Green Revolution has a product called, I think it's called like Rest or Good Night. They just kind of changed the name up of it. Basically what they are is they're ratioed tinctures that do high dominant amounts of CBN. And I try to explain this to the customers. So CBN is very sedative. It's meant to put you to sleep. CBD is very relaxing. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be sedative. So the combination of those 2, and then plus how the THC works to block the receptors in the brain from feeling pain and stuff like that, you get a great combination of the entourage effect, which is phenomenal for helping you kind of go to sleep. So dosing is where it gets interesting. So this kind of depends on 1 or 2 things. Typically, if you're a consumer of cannabis, you're going to need a higher dose of that tincture just because your body's already has, it has the receptors that have been using lots of cannabis. So I would say starting out with either 1 to 2 servings for an experienced user would be a go-to. And then dosing that, it's a pipette serving. So you fill the whole pipette dropper up, and then underneath your tongue sublingually, you have all these endings underneath your tongue that very much absorb all of that. So that's the most important part. At that point, those 2 products, they're meant for, longevity and sleep. So something to knock you out and keep you in bed. Now, it doesn't necessarily work with everyone. And honestly, it sucks that medical or cannabis isn't something we can medically talk about yet. So it's very much a thing that, dosing.
Yeah, there's no studies on all this for the most part yet.
It's very limited.
That can really, help us dictate or better strategize the dosing for people of different sizes, issues, weights, lengths, traumas, etc. Right?
This thing starts small. You can't take it out of you. Take too much, you're done. You're going to have, it could be potentially a bad experience. So I always tell people start small. And then honestly, if you can do it, get a diary, get a book that you can write down and take notes. Try 1 serving at night. Do that for the first night. See how that interacts with your body. Maybe you don't need more than that. Maybe you do. Come to find out, hey, I might need to do 2 servings because it knocked me out, but it didn't keep me asleep. Awesome. Bump it up to 2, try that. And it's just about kind of adjusting and making it work for you. That's the biggest thing.
We here in California, we offer a product that is a sleep capsule, 10 milligrams CBD, 6 CBN, 2 THC.
Yep.
And that has proven to be very helpful in getting you to a restful sleep.
Right.
But if pain is the problem, it's not enough THC to take care of that and keep you in the state. Yeah. Yep. So it's been an interesting balance for me with back issues from driving all the time to be able to stay asleep for a solid 7 to 8 hours. I'm getting solid 5 or 6,
Okay.
And so I'm using cannabis, 2 products in tandem. I use an edible. I like candy, so I eat something late at night and I take one of those capsules, and that allows me to get a solid balance of what I want. The inflammation relief from the CBD, right? The CBN for the rest, and the real REM sleep light dose of THC, because I want to get a solid 4 hours of that off of the 2 milligrams. I can be pain free just off the capsule and go to sleep. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I can get good sleep for 2 or 4 hours and feel awesome. But come 3 a.m., I start hurting, typically 4 a.m. And that's where the other THC, the 10, 2, 4, 10 milligrams, whatever it is, ends up keeping me asleep. Right.
Yes, exactly.
So kind of the goal to figure out a good solid balance of that. So big shout out to Green Revolution and Fairwinds. Green Revolution did just enter the California market here in the last year. So big shout out to their team out here in the tough, saturated Cali market. All right, up next, what do we got? All right. What would you say are some trends that you are noticing in the industry there in Washington? Obviously, as a whole, rosin's the hottest shit in the world.
Yep. So right now, rosin's absolutely taking over the game. Washington has a lot of, we have a lot of people who are into just kind of overall health and wellness and kind of that aspect. So the rosin game is easy to push. It's solventless, absolutely no chemicals involved. Heat, pressure, ice, a little bit of water, a little bit of magic. That's it. You don't got to worry about butane or propane or ethanol or anything else in there. There's no chemicals. And when we're getting into something that's still so new, concentrates they haven't really been tested. No one knows if you smoke some nice, terrible BHO for 30, 40 years, how it's going to interact with your body. So biggest push is just kind of the overall health side of it. It is cleaner. There's no chemicals used. And then the other side of it is rosin tastes really nice. It also is very similar to flower profiles. So getting someone who's a flower smoker easily into rosin, simple. The other big thing that I've seen, and even in Everett, the top shelf flower game has been exploding. I remember when people wouldn't even spend more than $35, $40 on a top shelf eighth because that was out of this world. Now it's like I sell $75, $60 eighths on an average day like it's nothing, because people are they're into that. They're okay to pay a little bit more for the quality, for the no pesticides, for a good package, for, a good experience. And I think that that's kind of where the market is kind of cruising towards. That more top shelf and that rosin world are kind of two of the things that I've seen explode. And RSO has had a comeback here recently for us, especially. We didn't really sell any RSO. And for some reason, a nice full spectrum cannabis oil is very, very hot right now. And I honestly don't know why, but we have a strong customer base after it. So we're keeping it in the stock always and trying to keep, more engagement and education on it, because a lot of people don't know what full spectrum oil is and how it can be used. So
who's got the quality FSO out there, RSO, and who also has the quality rosin out there these days?
So my favorite rosin company right now is probably Maltby or Fugu Farms. Absolutely amazing. The rosin comes out like butter. Flavor is there, the high is there, and the consistency is there. I've been very impressed with all their drops. And then, I would say for the RSO, Skagit Valley Organics absolutely dominates it. They do a nice full spectrum and a clearer form. So they try to pull out, plant material and things of that nature, which a lot of customers get kind of turned off by the dark black.
Yeah, that dark oil, they feel like it's dirty, but to be honest,
exactly.
It's earthier.
But it's not. It is full spectrum. It's got everything in there, all the good stuff. And it's like,
I prefer it like that, to be honest.
Me too. Yeah.
I have RSO in the room right now. I got like 7 grams. You know what I'm saying?
The fact that it's edible and you don't need to dab it, you can just grub it, and it's super nice.
I know that if I have a kidney stone in 5 minutes or now, I'll be fine.
Exactly.
And I won't go to the ER because I have RSO in my fridge.
Right.
And that's a fact.
And that's exactly right, dude. I love it.
All right. Now, in terms of you being a dispensary manager, what would you say is the hardest thing about what you do, or the hardest part about what you do?
Honestly, it's kind of changed recently, but staffing has been the toughest issue in the industry. It's easy finding people, man, but it is hard to find good people who are willing to put in the effort and really want to make themselves, just kind of make a mark on themselves in the store. We recently have just kind of went through another hiring cycle, and we finally got a couple people that just are absolutely killing it. And we're really excited that the team is just built, and now we can just focus on training and engagement and just getting everyone just to that top tier level. So we're all performing at the same rate. Yeah.
That's wonderful. I love it when the dispensaries start finding quality people and a team can happen and people can actually fill their roles and start to see and be happy with what they're doing every day.
Exactly.
Now you're doing some rounds of recruiting and some hiring. How do you train someone with little to no experience? What does that look like, right? You've got someone who maybe has, retail experience. Maybe they've been at a grocery store. Maybe they've done clothing in retail, right, or the mall.
Yep.
And they smoke. And what else do they got? What do you do from there?
So basically, I have created an onboarding program, basically that kind of runs a bud tender through what I think is necessary knowledge. So we use these little modules like recorded videos, basically of a person just sitting there talking, explaining something. So I'm talking about THC. I'm explaining to you what CBD is, teaching you the difference between what terpene profiles are. Each of these modules are basically programmed to educate in certain areas. So what I do is I have all my budtenders go through all of them, and it's on a platform that we use called Top Teams. So each of the employees will get an account, they log in, they can access videos from like different vendors. So Dabstract, for instance, Fat Panda can upload videos about their products so that you can learn exactly how they're made, what goes into them, what they are, from an inner kind of store perspective. Then we go through the onboarding program, which will take them through just, basics. One of the biggest things we teach is following the rules and the laws of cannabis. There's a lot of regulations that we have to follow. And that's very strict. You mess up on one of those and you could potentially get fired. You could go to jail if you serve a minor. You could get the business shut down. So teaching everyone kind of the rules and the policies of the store and of the state. Those are kind of the important things. Start with the basics and kind of just work your way up. And then I try to do most of the training alongside my assistant manager, just so we can guarantee a very consistent amount of training. Everyone has a different style of teaching and training and what they think is important. So it's really important that the people that are doing the training are both on the same page and understand the knowledge that needs to be given to the new people or to the people that you already have that you're trying to, upgrade their knowledge and kind of keep that existing training going. And it's just important that you're on the same page and you're both teaching the same stuff. So that's kind of what I've done, but it seems to work out quite well.
So an onboarding program for the necessary knowledge required to be a successful bud tender. Man, any brands and businesses that are looking for that, tap in with your boy here, man. Zack. Zack knows how to train some people and find the quality. There we go. You alluded to this a little bit in your previous answer. Compliance, very important. Absolutely. Oftentimes it's at the forefront of most people's priorities. Sometimes it's not. Right. In California, there's illegal trap shops all over the place. In your guys' state, people are usually pretty much compliant with everything or try to be pretty good about it. I haven't heard too much about backdooring from a dispensary perspective. Really maybe other, the farms and things, but compliance. How do you stay perfect? It's so I just don't understand how we don't see or hear more about compliant issues from a dispensary perspective.
So honestly, it's starting out for just kind of creating the importance behind what compliance is and what it means. So on the employee's first day in their new hire paperwork and in the employee handbook, we go over the rules of the shop. And in those rules, we have the main compliance rules, your selling limits that you can give to a recreational and a medical patient, not opening up containers in the store, not selling to a minor, making sure that you're selling to everyone over 21, just doing all those little things. Very important. And then throughout their first 2 weeks of training, it's just extra emphasis on all of those. So we go into the door together, we check them in, we go through checking the ID, what we're looking for, the points to show where their birthday is, their issue date, their expiration date. We keep a log and a book that shows all of the active IDs of 2022, 2021. So we can see what a New York driver's license would look at. So we can try to avoid fake, like minors coming in, doing things like that. And then it's just education, man, getting everyone on the same page and understanding the risks and the possible consequences of.
Why would someone from New York be hanging out in Everett?
Right? Kind of weird. I don't know.
Come on.
It's like, that's a little bit odd.
Wait. His name is McLovin?
What? You're like, wait. Why you come on now?
Wait, have I seen you before? Man, that's all. Yeah, no, compliance is a tricky one. I've worked with a number of dispensaries. I just got in trouble the other day for actually vaping on the property, and that's just a bad habit that I have because I sell vapes, and so wasn't even thinking about it. But it's a big deal, and it's important to really key in on that, right? And to focus on maintaining, again, a strong culture, a compliant culture, so that way everybody has a job and shows and gives the respect needed for the community here. Where it's a privilege to be in the industry, so we got to take it serious.
Exactly.
All right. Now for people that are trying to get in the industry, we talked a little bit about what it takes to get in, what people are looking for,
Right.
onboarding program. You can teach it. You don't necessarily need to know too much about cannabis in the world. You can just get hired by being friendly, by being willing to soak in info and showing up and being punctual every day, striving to be a good teammate. What advice do you have for people that are really trying to get into the industry? What would you say are 3 tips for people trying to get in?
Number one, go into that shop, dress up a little bit, look good, bring a resume with you, have a cover letter on that, and ask to speak to the hiring manager or the store manager or someone up top. Don't just hand your resume off to a bud tender. It might not make it to the person it needs to get to. Be diligent. If you don't hear something back in a week, go back in. A lot of times people don't think that they dropped the resume off and they didn't get a call back, that was it. Well, I had 50 people drop off a resume last week. And unfortunately, yours just didn't make it into my hand and I didn't even get to see it or read it. So I didn't even know, or something like that. Be diligent, keep going back. And then my last and final thing is when you go in, when you get that interview, I guess, or that opportunity, be honest with who you are and what you're going to bring to the table. Have something built out, have some questions. Open and active conversation that's natural is a huge thing for me. If you're very nervous in the interview, you're not making eye contact, you're not able to create good sentences and have stories to back what you're saying, it's really hard to go off of that. I have a resume with some things that you did, and then I'm basically taking your whatever I can get from you, and that's what I'm going to make a judgment on you. So have some good stories, have some questions to ask. The more engagement that you are, or the more engagement that you have, I guess, in that interview, the better it is. It feels more natural. And then I can get a better idea of who you are as a person, giving you just a little bit more of a shot to get in, if that makes sense.
Their experience builds a level of confidence or a lack of confidence in
Correct,
you.
100%.
And you have only so much time with that human in person, if they even get you. They even get to you. So it goes back to, like you said, you go into the store, be diligent, and if you get the opportunity, you better be prepared.
Be ready. Yeah.
Be ready. Shoot your shot and follow up and be prepared when it comes time.
And
stay ready.
Don't worry about getting to know, because guess what? We all fail. We all have that opportunity, and maybe we don't get it every time. Don't give up. Keep trying. Yeah. You never know when the position's going to be right for you. So those are the things you can do, man. I give that advice to everybody.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So now we've got the last 3 questions.
Let's do it.
I'm looking for your advice on the best strains for beginners.
Okay, cool. So for beginners, my biggest thing is, honestly, the strains are a little bit less important to me, more along the lines of the quantity that you're consuming. People kind of get weird when it comes to different strains and stuff and how it's going to interact with their body. You don't know how it's going to interact with their body. I might love sour diesel, but it might give you crazy anxiety. So what I would say is go for something hybridized, go for something that's a nice balance, maybe not in one direction or the other. And then just kind of go slow with it. Take a hit. Let that soak in for a couple minutes. Let that feeling kind of absorb throughout your body. If you need more, go take another hit, but see how it feels, interact with it, kind of get used to that feeling first. That's my biggest tip for newbies. You're not just going to hop in and roll a 3-gram blunt and smoke that to the face. You need to start slow. Take a hit, smoke a little bit of a joint. Don't worry about putting it out. Don't worry about trying to match the person you're smoking with. Have fun with it, enjoy it. It's an experience. You don't want to ruin it your first time smoking and then not want to have fun anymore because you have a bad association with it. I know so many people who had too many edibles the first time and now they don't smoke because that experience ruined everything for them. And I feel bad because smoking is great, man. There's a lot of cool things from it. And it's like, I wish everyone could have that.
Yeah, I definitely reviewed some weed this morning that I was like, oh my gosh, this was fire. This just, I'm like stuck, brain fart, And for someone like me that smokes that kind of powerful weed all the time, I can only imagine what that would do to someone who doesn't smoke weed like that,
Right. Absolutely.
All right. So there is no best strains for beginners. It's start off slow. The nose probably knows a little bit what you like. Yep. And also to lower THC is generally going to be a little safer bet.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you describe exotic weed? Like what makes weed exotic versus like these classic strains and exotic strains? Like what's classic to you? What's exotic?
I feel like exotic is anything that's just not the norm. So like when you crack open a jar and it smells like fruit, or it smells like something that just isn't bud or cannabis. Let's see. I think I was having some connection issues. So anyway, I mean, I think that the exotic stuff is just things that are just different, that are not normal flavors, that just profiles and highs that just don't match with what people think of cannabis.
Okay. That's a unique take on it. I feel like most people, always pair it with the cookies or the sherbs and biscotti and mints and all that craziness. But I definitely like that because that opens it up to the more fruity ones and tropically ones as well. And people often forget those fun hybrid sativa dominant fruity ones, right?
Yep.
Because they just technically go to the cookies hype strains, and I literally hear, and that's what I have. So in addition to the papaya punch, though, so
there we go.
I have a little bit of both. All right, so that's a fun way to look at it. I like that. That might be changing the way my perspective on exotic weed going forward. And we already discussed on some of the best weed brands in Washington right now. So could you go ahead and revisit some of the best products real quick before we transition over to the trivia? Oh man, here we go.
Loving it.
So real quick, best weed brands in Washington. Run through them back for me real quick.
Loving
in
it.
your
So
humble opinion, you've been in the industry 3 years. Who's the best of the best right now, man? If I'm flying back there and I'm bringing Benny the Butcher, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar.
Oh, that's going to be a party,
and,
all right.
And Seth fucking Rogen because he's hilarious. What are you? If I'm walking him in your store, what are we getting?
Oh, I'm picking you up some lifted small batch, a little bit of scored, and then I'm going to take you over to some bomb malty rosin. And I think the three of those absolutely is going to get all of you guys stoned as shit.
Absolutely. So that malty rosin is going to get Kanye over to literally see Jesus.
Honestly, I think he could probably buy the line and run it himself and then turn it into Kanye's new
line of rosin.
Yeah,
but don't say that too much. He might actually do it. All right, everybody, here we go. Trivia time. Episode 5 questions. Zack Crowell representing Kushmart South in Everett, Washington. Zack, are you fucking ready, dude?
Oh, dude, I'm ready as I've ever been. Let's get this going.
All right, because just know this: if you get all of these questions wrong, I have a secret button over here, and a lava pit will open underneath you.
Oh, dude, we're ready.
Inside and underneath that lava pit is a bunch of sharks with freaking laser beams.
Lasers. All right, we're screwed. Sharks with freaking laser beams.
No, you're screwed if you get them all wrong. So I hope you're ready. And also, too, hold on. Let me change the thing on this. I can see you now if you go to the computer. Yeah, and your kitty's watching too, so your kitty knows if you're cheating.
Yeah, always.
Don't Google these questions.
Nothing's around me. We're golden.
Question numero uno.
Yep.
Broadly speaking, describe what a landrace strain is.
Cool. So a landrace strain is a genetic strain that comes from the beginning. We're talking about Afghani. We're talking about Thai. We're talking about Pakistani. All of the original strains that kind of created every strain today, all the hybridizations that we see in this world, the sour diesels, the new crazy runts and the gelatos and all these strains, they came from the Afghani. They came from the Pakistani roots. They came from all of these places that had this cannabis that were created based on region. People don't realize that. And then the indica and sativa name that got associated with them really didn't associate to the high. It was more about the build of the plant and where it was located in a regional sense in the world. So those are the things that I kind of look for when I'm looking at landrace strains.
That Durban over there in Africa, all these different natural occurrences.
Exactly.
I believe we have the technical definitions here, so I'll just read it for the sake of it. You're correct. A landrace is a pure cannabis strain cultivated in its natural environment, which for a true landrace strain, it has never been crossbred with another variety. Right. So we name some of that traditional Thai, some of that traditional Afghani, some of that true Durban, right? Yep. And the true hazes that are out there. So, all right. Number 1, correct. All right. Now, I'm interested in you naming some actual landrace strains in the market. So I've got 5 to 7 here. I know some more in my head. What are some examples of quality landrace strains on the market?
So I think of like Sour Diesel, Durban Poison, Acapulco Gold, some Cinex, some freaking
You already said pure Afghan earlier.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. Yeah. So you got your Afghan, you got your Pakistani roots, you got like some Mexican Thai.
Give me one more. Give me one more.
Like Matanuska Valley, Alaskan Thunderfuck. That's absolutely regional. What else would I throw in there? Maybe some like.
Panama Red.
Oh, geez.
We also have, I said the hazes earlier, right?
Yep. Yeah, you got your super silver.
You're good. You're 4 out of 5. You're good. That's another good one. All right. And then earlier, you already gave us the answer about CBN and what it helps with. So go ahead and walk us through what CBN is and what it may potentially aid with.
Yeah, so CBN, cannabinol, that is the cannabinoid responsible for sedation. It is the most sedative cannabinoid out of all of the cannabinoids in cannabis, and it is mainly responsible for helping you fall asleep and helping you stay asleep. Mainly consumed in like tincture form, capsule form. Not a lot of strains are extremely dominant in CBN just because the markets aren't really growing products that
unless they're old.
Unless you let that shit sit in a jar for 8 months to a year, let it get light burned. We call it the Kush case. It's everything that's been in the store for over a year. I let everyone know. I'm like, if you're having a hard time sleeping, I got a jar of weed just for you.
That spicy shit will knock you out quick. That's for sure.
Accurate.
It'll also give you cotton mouth, so be prepared. All right. So you are 3 for 3. This is going well. Question number 4. This one's a little tough, you guys.
All right, let's do it.
What are the parent strains for Kush Mints?
For what?
Kush Mints.
Kush Mints. Let's see. Kush Mints. I would say animal mints and ice cream cake, or animal mints and wedding cake.
Ooh, you're close, but no cigar.
Okay.
It's Bubble Kush.
Okay.
Animal mints, though, you were right, but
animal
Bubba
mints.
Kush
Okay,
is the second
animal mints
one.
and Bubba Kush.
Now, just because you were super close on this one, I'm going to run it back to episode 4.
Okay.
And we're going to test your knowledge on the parent strains for this.
Okay.
Wedding cake.
Wedding cake. So there are 2. There would be your Girl Scout cookie crossover, and that's going to be Girl Scout cookies. Why am I and cherry pie? And then the other cross would be Triangle Kush and Animal Mints.
Triangle Kush and Animal Mints is the one that we have listed.
So that's the exotics. That's the lifted. That's the main one. The other variety was the Girl Scout cookie cherry pie. That's how Fat Panda does theirs, and a couple other growers. But
they are playing on the wedding cake name, but we need those big ass nugs from the Triangle Kush.
Absolutely, man.
Like the Animal Mint gives it the potency and the sedation, to be real. So there's only one. We're all now, just because you got it again. Parent strains for runts.
Skittles and gelato.
God, this guy is good. This guy is good.
Lineage,
all right, we're gonna run it back again. Here we go.
Right, so let's go.
Sunset Sherb.
Sunset Sherb. I'm thinking. Sunset Sherbert. I want to say Purple Punch, and dude, I don't know. That's on
Stumper. Okay, so this one is tough. Girl Scout cookies times pink panties.
Okay, son of a bitch. All right,
it's a tough one.
That's a good one.
And then last but not least, this one is Girl Scout cookies.
Girl Scout cookies.
Everyone always forgets.
I would say OG Kush Granddaddy Perp.
Nope. Give me one more.
Okay. Son of a bitch. Why is the OG slipping the mind? Cookies and cream.
Girl Scout, it is Girl Scout cookies is OG Kush.
Yep.
Durban Poison.
Damn. Okay, I knew that. What am I doing here?
That's where that citrus sour myrcene comes into play on the cookies. That really makes it that punchiness. Yeah. Zach, man, it was really great to have you on the show today. It was super fun to learn about you and hear about your perspective, and to get a really great understanding of the better products and the best brands there in the state. I'm raised in Kent, Washington, and Renton area, and used to live up there in the Marysville and Teo and Mill Creek areas, and spent a lot of time out there. And so, very familiar with your store, and having worked with you guys over the years, I really appreciate what you do. So,
yeah, man.
thank you for helping your community and helping to recruit quality staff to help provide cannabis to your community. It really does truly mean a lot because Everett needs it. So
heck yeah, dude. So true. So true. Kushmart South, we got you guys.
Man, before we get you on out of here, do you have anything you want to do? Do you need to shout out anybody? Do you need to,
Damn. Well, first of all, I want to shout out the entire team of Kushmart South, my owners. You guys absolutely are the reason that I'm here today doing this with you guys. This is the reason I'm still in this industry. I want to shout out every single customer of ours. You guys are the reason we're still in business. So thank you. Shout out to the whole freaking crew watching this. Thank you, Mitch, for getting me in on this, getting me the opportunity. Joey, I want to shout you out. Thank you so much for having me on. All in all, dude, got to shout out my girl, Samantha, at home. She's my rock. She's the reason I'm here. Thank you guys. Thank you for this opportunity. And I'm ready to keep selling cannabis, man.
And where's he at? Shout out to your little kid
dude,
over there.
That's my little Ollie boy.
Come on, man! Shout out Ollie boy. When Zach, you get your own brand, and you get to name strains. We got to name a strain the Ollie OG. You know what I'm saying?
Ollie OG. That's it. That's the new one. That's the new one.
Everybody here thank you again for hanging out. LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook. You guys, it means a lot. Every episode, Better Budtenders podcast, episode 5. Zack, Crowell, Kushmart South, and Everett, Washington. Man, thank you again. Please, everybody, like, follow, and subscribe. Comment, talk that shit if you got to, but whatever you do, stop smoking mids, stop taking hot fucking dabs. Always do it low temp. And I just got back from Spain. Don't walk around Spain smoking weed. It's not safe. Just because you think it's legal and you're cool, don't do it. I didn't get in trouble, but I'm also just got told not to do it a lot. So free game for everybody. Zach, I'll see you on the next round. All right.
Love it, dude. See you
later, brother.